This is Trevor Hutton, the South African freediving champion, one of only a handful of people on the planet who could truly be called the human fish, and possibly the greatest exponent of the extreme sport, freediving. A simple but dangerous discipline, the diver takes just one breath of air and dives deeper than the Sydney Opera House is high. A hostile environment for most humans, the underwater world seems to Trevor where he belongs. With the uncanny ability to hold his breath for almost 7 minutes, he has a lung capacity of nearly 9 litres, double that of an average man. Trevor is pushing this hazardous sport to its extreme limits. But divers caught up in the frenzy to see who can dive the deepest may end up taking irrational risks, and many have died. Today, Trevor is a man under extreme pressure. Literally, at almost 250 feet beneath the sea, he is subject to the crushing weight of 8 atmospheres, 117 pounds on every square inch of his unprotected body. Figuratively, he's under another sort of pressure from the press and commercial sponsors who are waiting on the surface for him to complete a record-breaking free dive. Will he manage to descend to 73 metres, breaking the existing record of Monarchan Pierre Frollard, and ascend fully conscious, all on one breath? Trevor, who is 28, has been training for 4 months in Cyprus. He chose to make this attempt off this eastern Mediterranean island because conditions are so much better here than in his native South Africa, where there are strong currents, poor visibility, and hungry sharks.
I'm really enjoying Cyprus. The weather conditions are fantastic. You just look around you, we've got flat seas, beautiful, hot, warm, sunshiny days. And the people in Cyprus are also brilliant. I'm really enjoying the culture, and it's great. 10 days before we go for the record. It was just good to get back in the water again and start moving forward.
Trevor is a practitioner of what is arguably the most extreme of extreme sports, and the freest of all freediving categories, free apnea, as it's called, derived from the Greek meaning without breath.
The sensations when you're diving are just phenomenal. As you're going down, you do tend to take on a totally different nature when you're free now. The idea is to just be present and experience what happens when you dive. And when you come back to the surface, you're coming into a new realm totally.
For Trevor, freediving has become an obsession. He thinks of doing nothing else with his life, and though he would prefer to dive for the sheer joy of it, he realizes that to earn a living, he has to do it competitively. 10 days before the record attempt, divers and camera crews attend the first of many important briefings to establish their positions in the water. Accompanied by his fiancée and manager, Fortini Bablatakis, plus a team of professional deep-sea safety and support divers from around the world, he will strive to break the existing record in a 2-day window. Austrian-born Axel Schuller is the keystone to the dive team's operations here in Cyprus. Living on the island for the last 20 years, he can lay his hands on just about any piece of specialized equipment the divers should ever need. He is also the team's dive operations manager, with qualifications as a technical diver to dive on many different gas mixes to depths beyond the limits of conventional scuba. He is also the world's only registered aquanaut. But he seems a little obsessed with his diving. What does Axel Schuller do when he's not diving?
When I'm not diving, I'm preparing for the next dive.
Tell us, what else do you like in life? You said it's about your women, your books, and music. Come on.
I have to think about it because actually there is nothing else. Anything else? I have no time for anything else in life than diving.
I could not dive competitively without my safety divers. Especially over the last few weeks, they've been a pillar of strength for me. They've just carried me through really dark times. I have absolute trust in them. They've really come through for me in a big way. And they've pulled me out of some pretty dodgy situations.
We're like very good friends. And he's putting his life in my hands. And he needs to trust. He needs to trust me, and he needs to trust Drew. And he needs to trust the line. He's got to believe in a lot of things.
As Trevor comes down the line, I'll be looking to see if he has any problems. I'll be looking for lack of coordination. Generally, watching Trevor train, everything is very controlled and very fluid, and I would be looking for signs and symptoms out of this normal behavior.
My role is to look after him that he, number one, is not missing the rope or missing the turn plate, and make sure that in case of emergency I can catch him, give him the regarding bottom mix or gas to breathe, and bring him to the next diver above me, which is then like a chain reaction that we bring him from one safety diver to the other.
I dive down to the last diver, which is at 20 meters, meet Trevor there on his way up, and I follow him up to the surface at very, very close proximity.
The hardest part for Trevor is from 20 meters up. All the oxygen's been pulled out of his body, and it's very crucial there because he'll get a shallow water blackout.
Nature has a very good safety mechanism for making sure your brain has enough O2 and your heart has enough O2 to keep beating. You have a shallow water blackout or a samba, which will close your system down because your heart and your brain are not getting enough O2. What a trained freediver is able to do is override that stimulus to breathe and tell itself that they're okay, they don't need to, and that they carry on in apnea. Now the reaction to that is called a samba. When you got to the surface, you would have a little bit of a twinge or a little bit of a shake. You're not 100% compos mentis. Whereas a blackout is you've gone even further than that, and your body locks up your jaw and shuts down your mouth to make sure that no water can get into your lungs.
We are looking for a loss of consciousness and a loss of coordination. That means Trevor may maybe shiver a little or shake, and that's not acceptable for the rules.
7 days to go, and Trevor continues his daily routine of strenuous exercise combined with yoga, tai chi and breath control, which give him extraordinary physical and mental resources.
Sometimes I'll dive as an athlete. So everything will come from an athletic perspective. On another day I'll go down and it will be a very spiritual dive. And the whole dive comes from inside. It's like an out-of-body experience. My body just goes along for the ride.
In these chilly depths, Trevor's lungs have been reduced to the size of clenched fists, and remarkably, the body moves blood into the empty spaces to preserve the lung shape. Not much is known about this phenomenon, known as blood shift. He also relies on a primordial response all humans have, the mammalian reflex. This impulse has been with us since the beginning of our time. As soon as Trevor enters the cold seawater and starts to descend, receptors in his face send signals to the heart, and combined with these immense pressures, his heart rate falls to an eerie 10 to 12 beats a minute. At the same time, the brain is working out which parts of the body have priority to survive, closing down blood pathways to the extremities, ensuring that vital organs can sustain life. On the final stages of his descent, Trevor equalizes the enormous pressures building up in his ears and cranial cavities by maneuvering the air in his skull with his stomach muscles.
It's wonderful to meet someone who's got a dream and who's got the courage to follow a dream rather than to just say, I enjoy doing it and, well, I'll do it on the side or something. That's, for me, what is the courageous part of Trevor, not the diving. The diving, so one day it's good, so one day it's bad. It's not really a big deal. It's a drama at the time, but the courage comes from actually doing what you want to do, because that is the big risk. That's the big emotional risk. That is the big overall risk, isn't it?
He is absolutely focused on breaking the world record. It's consuming him fully, and his personality fits to it, because for this dive you have not only to have the physical possibilities, you must have also the mental abilities, and he's a very strong character. He knows what he wants. He's calm and relaxed, and that's why he will break the world record.
Today, the dive teams set out to sea to bring 2 months of training to a head. And with just 5 days before the record attempt, this dive is a test for all crew and technology. The dive systems used in the record attempt are very sophisticated. A mix of space technology and proven experience from deep sea operations. Given all this technology, preparation for the safety and support divers is their #1 priority. While Trevor descends almost naked as the day he was born, his team is festooned with every piece of technology available to sustain human life, in what is, after all, inner space.
The challenge for me for technical diving is both the mental and the physical preparation. Each dive is a mission in itself. Requires very careful thought, careful pre-planning. Being able to do the dive and come back and actually talk about it is a big challenge. Everything within technical diving is done by the book.
We'll use today 4 tanks, 4 scuba tanks. We have here the big scuba tanks will be the bottom mix, as we call it, or the primary breathing gas, which is containing trimix, helium, oxygen and nitrogen of 16% oxygen and 50% helium. And then during my ascent for shorter decompression and off-gassing, I will use a mixture of nitrox called EN36, which is an enriched oxygen breathing gas with 36% oxygen. And at 6 meters, I will switch again to 100% oxygen. It's best not to get mixed up, because that might be leading to death. We have also a lot of space technology, or as you see, from rollerblading or from surgery, this is used in surgical medical rooms, for example, and so comes part together. But the mirror is, if you watch, for example, carefully, astronauts which are doing spacewalks, because of their equipment, you have a limited way to check their equipment, so they use the mirror to see what their equipment is, and we use it for diving. For the most important part, where we get our breathing gas, is the valves. As a safety diver, I have to take care of my own safety and of the safety of Trevor. That's why we have double redundancy. Each equipment, as you see it now, is actually the double amount a normal diver carries, because I have everything double as a backup.
3, 2, 1, go!
While Axel looks and sounds like a mobile scrapyard on the surface, he becomes weightless and very agile in the water, responding quickly to any deep water crisis. Today's target is 65 meters, 8 meters short of the record.
On the surface, all sorts goes on. I mean, we talk about anything. I mean, it's not, we are all serious about what we're doing out there, and that's, in the front of our minds. But yeah, we like to keep things relaxed as well at the same time. I mean, it is a sport, and we're all doing it because we love it. Playing around and dunking each other and splashing around, it's all part of it.
But there are some subjects that are just taboo.
The S word, sharks. We don't mention sharks on board, or anything really negative, anything that might be a distraction. I know he's had a bit of a close encounter with a shark in South Africa, where he was freediving down and he didn't have a mask on, and a big Zambezi shark came in and sort of stayed down, and had it been a breath hold contest, I'm sure the shark would have won. 3 minutes, 3 minutes, I've got.
In this, one of the last training dives, the safety and support teams take up their positions, as they would for the world record attempt. Descending as fast as they can to minimize their total dive time at these depths and to ensure Trevor's rope is clear of poisonous jellyfish. With such little time before the official record day, this dive is as much a full rehearsal for every member of the team as it is for Trevor. Remembering the diver's maxim, plan the dive, dive the plan.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The logistics of this record attempt require that an additional dive system be deployed to back up the more conventional divers and to ensure Trevor's peace of mind and ultimately his safety. The rebreather, a system that enables the diver to reuse his own air over and over again within a contained unit. First developed as far back as the First World War for Navy Special Forces divers to silently and without the telltale bubbles of scuba stick mines on the unprotected hulls of enemy battleships.
Trevor was looking for divers who were able to dive closed-circuit rebreathers to extreme depths for mission logistics. There aren't many people within the diving community who are able to dive these units to such extreme depths.
I think there's a benefit for Trevor me being on a rebreather because we're staying with a silent theme, so we're not disturbing Trevor on his descent down the line, and we're not disturbing him on the way back up again, so it doesn't break his concentration.
An unfortunate side effect of conventional scuba divers' bubbles is that if they catch up with Trevor during his ascent, their motion and buoyancy will actually slow him down, forcing him to work that much harder and use up even more valuable oxygen.
Okay. Well done, Trey. Well done. Well done. Well done.
I'm very intent on what I'm doing now, and with intent comes belief. I'm starting to believe in myself again, and I know come record day I'm going to be firing on all cylinders and give myself the best chance that I got.
Although the dive went well for Trevor, some of these training dives can be exhausting for the team, even for hard man aquanaut Axel Schuller. He uses the journey back to base to fully recover by breathing pure oxygen. Axel's professional but rather dispassionate thought process also extends to his feelings for Trevor's diving.
When Trevor is diving, I don't have any emotions for him, towards him, or anything else. It's a very clarified job. I can understand what he does. You can even say he does the same like me. He's going to the limits in his way, and I'm going to the limits on my way.
Axel's obsession with diving also extends to his physical appearance, as he believes that a bald head makes him more hydrodynamic, and he's not the only one with an interest in his head.
When I was in the Merchant Marine and I sailed to Santos, which is a part of Sao Paulo, and I had a girlfriend there. And when I departed, going for a world tour, and I came back the next time, I went out with a different girl. And my ex-girlfriend found out, when Brazilian girls are very jealous, so these two girls started a fight, and one hit me with an ashtray. And then I had this hole, and I was in hospital for 1 week.
Was this woman worth it?
Absolutely. Worth any hole. I'm always using champagne because the average aftershave is not good enough, and why not taking the best? It says alcohol in it. It's good for your skin. It's a natural product. Only the best.
After 4 months of non-stop training, it was time for the team to sample the Cyprus nightlife, to let off a little steam. Cyprus is greeted by yet another beautiful morning. And with just 2 days before the record attempts, the heavy schedule and exhaustive training were just the ingredients for the making of a bad day.
Jeez, that's good morning.
Trevor, seemingly not impressed with the condition of his safety divers this morning, is summoned to the bathroom by Fortini, who has a rather unusual problem to start the day.
There's a separate tap for drinking water, but our bathing water started to smell after a while, and we didn't know why. We went to look in the tank upstairs in the reservoir. There was a dead pigeon there, floating, revolting.
We were going to do that.
Although Fortini fully supports Trevor in his diving endeavours, she never joins him on the training dives and has her way of dealing with the impending record day.
I'll definitely not be looking at the TV monitors watching him go down. I'll probably sneak off to the bathroom and just for 2 minutes and just sit and have a glass of water or something, because my stomach just gets into a complete knot and a bit of a panic really, because not that I'm scared he won't make it, but it's just the anxiety that goes with everything. I just can't watch.
The way out the next morning, the team was feeling, you could feel the apprehension on the boat, more anxiety than anything else. Just, you know, we knew exactly what we had to do, and to go out there and do it, and that was the build-up.
To add to the slowly mounting problems, a strong sea swell has sprung up from nowhere, and a fast-running current is pulling at the target plate. The tension on the boat, almost palatable, Trevor tries his hardest to reach his mindset.
I don't know that the toll that's on Trevor is more the diving or the stress of having to perform. Diving, it's his love, it's his joy. I suppose any athlete would say the same thing. It's, can you do it when you have to do it? Trevor also goes through a range of emotions. One day, high as a kite, and the next day, it's, I can't do this anymore. But innately, he's a fish.
I could see the anxiety starting on the surface, you know, with the timing and breathing through a snorkel, breathing up, he'd be on his last breath, and a wave would break over and would start the count again, and all that just built up. It sort of just bottlenecked and didn't help the situation at all.
Axel, somewhat relieved to leave the increasing swells on the surface, he reaches the target plate, turns the lights on for the remote cameras, and makes a last-minute systems check.
The sea conditions were rough. There was a strong current underwater, and that's the first thing. He's using twice as much energy as he would normally use. But I can see with his hands, by his hand movements, how the hypoxia is actually kicking in. I mean, I can see, if it's a good strong dive, I can see his pulling along the line is strong, and on this day I could see he was battling to even grip the line from about 10 meters. His knuckles weren't closing properly, and I realized from then that we were going to have a problem at the surface. The principle of a shallow water blackout is, on ascending again, with the release of the pressure, all the oxygen flows back out of the system into the lungs, where the body obviously is starved of oxygen there and then.
I didn't dive well, and the main thing was that in the last 15 meters I wasn't clear enough about where I was at that point. I had a loss of my physical and mental integrity when I reached the surface. Basically, it means that you don't have control over all your mental state. It's from a lack of oxygen. It was very difficult on the way up. The with the swell, it's moving the donor and it's moving the rope in my hand, so every time I get a grip, just when I want to pull, it releases. So it's battling to find the rhythm, and when I've got it, it comes down, and I was really out of breath. It was a tiring dive.
As Trevor gets to grips with the possible consequences of such a bad dive so near to the record day, his friend and official judge, Fred Boyle, has a very good idea of how he must be feeling.
The freediver will be aware himself that he had a problem. He will, at the point when he will recover total consciousness, he will say, oh shit, I failed. I think every freediver is able to know if he had a problem and say himself, I went too far.
We feel like a family. We cry with them, we laugh with them, and it's quite amazing how wrapped up everyone gets into this single event.
This was a very bad day. Very, very bad day for me.
Trevor was not the only one having a bad day. That night, the film crew were caught in the middle of some of the worst forest fires that Cyprus has experienced in living memory. It's 10 to 1 in the morning, on Thursday morning, and we have a very, very serious forest fire, and it's lapping, well, banging on the doors of the village, if you like. Bit of irony here, I've spent the last 30 years filming people fleeing their houses in earthquakes, wars, under all sorts of circumstances, and now I've just had to pack off my own girlfriend and daughter to a friend's house 20 k's away or so. We have to be on location at 7:30 in the morning, which is 6 hours from now. Trevor is on his last training dive, and the day after that, on the Friday, is his world record attempt, and at this moment in time it's a bit of a low priority for me. I'd like to think I'll be on location tomorrow morning, but we shall see. You have to watch this space. Luckily for the village and the film crew, the wind dramatically changed direction and skirted around the tiny hamlet, averting a major disaster. With just 24 hours before the first attempt at the world record, Trevor uses deep breathing yoga exercises and the visualization technique to its full extent to try and make this last training dive as good as it gets.
It is a beautiful morning. You feel strong as 1,000 horses. Now, today, you have the courage of a honey badger. You are ready to face this force, to take it head on and defeat it. Now you move over to the buoy. Your divers enter the water. You trust these men and feel safe with them. You take 5 deep breaths. Now you begin to descend, and you drop quickly. Your ears, sinuses, throat and chest are flexible and equalize easily. You push air with your abdomen. Now you free fall. You have brilliant streamlining and move rapidly down the line. You have arrived at the target depth. You reach down with your left hand and touch the plate. Quickly and calmly you begin your ascent. Now you pull yourself up, hand over hand. Your arms are strong from the gym, and this is easy for you. Your mind is clear, You move with power and clarity. Now you are in the last 20 meters. You keep your consciousness. You keep your head clear. As your head breaks the surface, you grasp the tube and breathe clearly. You reach the surface with perfect integrity.
Well done! Well done.
Now nothing will stand in your way. Your resolve is absolute. Your intent is clear. And you step forward to take what is yours, like a world champion.
Where was that? Yes, me! Salmon. I got it!
Trevor has broken the world record and a huge psychological barrier. But without the official judge, it means nothing. And he'll have to repeat this achievement on record day.
I'm just delighted. Yeah, I've had a really bad few weeks, and I just had to keep my faith and keep sure that this is going to come back, and coming back fast now. I got to 65 when Axel was waiting for me, and then I just said to myself, I said, now you just glide it through. It's just like, and when I looked, the light was there, I thought, whoo, there's a play. Yes please, there we go. And I just reminded myself on my way up that I don't actually care, this is just like diving, I love it, and that's all. And it's just a cruise, I don't know, here's the surface. That was it.
He had rhythm. The old Trevor was back. He had rhythm. His strokes were perfect. He was equalising without using his hand. He was fluent. I could see he had energy in him. He had the will to do it. And he was just going for it.
It was really, really good dive, strong dive, basically what the whole team needed. Really pulled together on that, and then, I mean, yeah, you saw afterwards it was lots of high fives and excitement on the surface.
Alright? Yeah. Good dive. Thank you. It was very good on the surface as well. Thanks.
Alright. As perfect as always when he performs on his best. No, he looked very good out there, very relaxed, possible for great sex, and deeper. Definitely deeper.
Well, to tell you one thing, after that dive, a lot of stress just washed away. We're so relieved. And because things get more and more tense as we go to the event. People get itchy, and a lot of things have to be organised, and but it's just like calm down. And we know we can do it now. The record's there.
Big difference for me today is that I'm diving for myself. I'm diving for the love of diving. I'm just ignoring all the other distractions and the subtractions, you could call them. I don't care. I'm diving because I love to dive.
The early evening before the first attempt at the record sees Trevor for the first time in many a day, relaxed and free from any stress. And he spends the remains of the day where he feels most at home. At the crack of dawn, Judge Fred measures the official record attempt rope, under the watchful, if not slightly anxious gaze from the contender. A Parisian metro ticket designates the official recognition of the record line and is duly signed by both Judge and Trevor, then wrapped tightly in waterproof tape. One hour to go, and Trevor, for the last time, visualizes the ascent that will make him the world champion.
Every freediver is well trained before an attempt, but sometimes you get a little stressed with all the camera, the people, the judge. So even if you did it 5, 7, 8, 9 times during training, you can have this little problem on the official day because you're a little stressed, the conditions are not the same.
The essence of freediving is a heightened state of relaxation, so you want to be totally relaxed, and ultimately stress causes anxiety, causes your heart to beat faster. If there's camera crews or if there's stress because you have peer pressure, that would change the O2 to CO2 faster.
Because of this, on the first day of the attempt, the general public are not here. Just the local press, our film crew and his teams of divers, to hopefully relieve just a little of the stress. The team's dive plan for today is for Trevor to smash the 72-metre barrier and to carve 73 metres into the record books. That out of the way, tomorrow he wants to push the depth to a staggering 74 metres. A bit like asking a mile runner to shave 10 seconds off his personal best overnight. And hopefully this will firmly slam the door on anyone brave or foolhardy enough to be snapping at his heels.
Okay, divers, 5 minutes. 5 minutes, yeah.
The dive begins when I inflate my lungs. You take in as much air as what you possibly can. First you fill the bottom of your lung here near your stomach, then the middle, and then the top section of your lung. You fill it completely.
Okay, drift. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Your greatest changes in pressure is in the first 10 meters. All I'm thinking about at this stage is how my ear is compensating, and I'll just feel it. I'll feel the pressure changes. Then between 10 and 30 meters I'll start feeling more ease of movement. From 30 meters I can start feeling my body starting to drop a lot faster. I have to work less to move down. I only really start becoming aware of the need to equalize again around between 40 and 45 meters. After 45 meters you start dropping quickly. At this point I have to start pushing air with my stomach more. Between 50 and 60 meters things become very focused. You really go inside yourself. I go into a totally different realm. It's like you got to just let it go and trust. And then I'm hurtling towards the plate. So I know when I reach a plate I've got to get moving quickly, so I don't hang around on the bottom. At this point on the way back up now at 70 meters, because my lungs have been compressed, you're very heavy. But it doesn't last long. At about 60-50 meters already, I'm starting to feel a lot lighter. And I just keep moving, keep going, feel the rhythm in my body. You can feel the air expanding as you're going up, which is quite a good sensation. In the last 20 meters, there's no impulse to breathe whatsoever. But I have to concentrate on maintaining my physical and mental well-being, consciousness, integrity, because it's in that final 10-15 meters that the gases are changing fast.
But at 10 meters, the nemesis of all freedivers, the shallow water blackout, strikes without warning.
Go back.
I don't know, I was feeling good. Went down. I think I spent a little bit too long on the way down. I started gliding too soon. Wasted a bit of time.
This was a long dive, wasn't it? Compared to the
Yeah,
other
it
dive?
is 2:45, it's just too long. I'll have to dive faster. I have to move a bit, move faster on the way down, glide a bit later. And then, yeah, it's a bit. I was feeling strong. I was feeling strong on the way up. 4 or 5 minutes, and then suddenly I just lost it.
Judge Fred's sympathetic silence and gentle reassurance seems to sum up the day and leaves Trevor alone with thoughts of tomorrow. Leaving the dive site quickly and with the weight of the world on his shoulders, Trevor turns to the one and only person who could possibly understand what he's going through.
It's a bad dive, and that's what it is. It's a bad dive. I know he's safe. I know that tomorrow will be a good dive. You can't let it rule your life. You've just got to take it in your stride. You've just got to say, all right, that's what happened.
After yesterday's demoralising setback, Trevor is now more determined than ever to grab that record. But his nerves are beginning to show.
I've been tense for about 3 weeks now. It's just the truth being known. I haven't been coping too well with the stress.
Sometimes I feel I've got to breathe for him. I don't feel that he's getting enough air, and I think if I breathe deep enough, he'll feel it.
The last day of the record attempt, and the cruise ship Lefkosia has moored alongside the dive site, with over 200 spectators and international media. Although well-meaning in their enthusiasm, another layer of stress is thrown into the mix.
Strong as the 1,000 horses, and you step forward to take what is yours, like a world champion.
One minute.
It's wonderful to meet someone who's got the courage to follow a dream. I just love him, really, that's all.
10 seconds.
I got it! I held it, Fred. It was there and I held it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Having said that she would never watch Trevor in any of his dives, Fortini tries her hardest to will him on to success. Judge Fred and Drew ready themselves to escort Trevor from 23 metres to the surface and to give assistance should he need it. Tragically, the dive once again has been just a few valuable seconds too long.
Okay, bring him over here. Clear the steps, please. Bring him over with the doctor. Help!
In just 2 minutes and 40 seconds, it's all over. 4 months of training, patience and passion, it's just too much to comprehend.
She's here, she's here.
The dive team's young mascot seems to give Trevor the courage to face the crowd.
I could very easily imagine myself living in a place, and I've got a little boat. I live with Fortini in a beautiful place, and take my little boat out and just dive for the sheer love of freediving. That for me is heaven. That is what it's really about.